The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome to Gate City Chronicles. I'm Kevin Avard, your host, and today we have the Nashua Theater Guild and some representatives from Nashua Theater. It's Kevin Riley and Len
Deming.
Deming. Very Irish company. Is Deming Irish as well?
It is, yes.
Very good. Well, so we're all three of us are
And
Irish.
Murray on the other side, so I've got a lot of Irish there.
Wonderful. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. This is the first time on Gate City Chronicles with the theater, and so tell us a little bit about the theater.
Well, I'll start.
The guild or the theater or whatever.
Actually, Nashua Theater Guild. I've been involved with the Theater Guild since 1983, so I've been with it a long time, and it's been around since 1961. It is a nonprofit, tax exempt. If people want to donate money, we are tax
Please
exempt.
Right.
And we've been producing mostly just comedies or dramas. So occasionally, for the last 20 years, we're doing Shakespeare in the Park over at Greeley Park. And we've also been, like I said, we're doing at least 2 or 3 shows a year. Sometimes we do 4. And we're doing one this upcoming weekend, I should say October 5th through the October 9th.
That's postmortem?
Postmortem. That's our, well, actually, that's interesting about that play is that it is was originally done in Milford, New Hampshire. Back in 1983, under the name of Dramatic License. And the author is Ken Ludwig, who has written a number of popular shows like Lend Me a Tenor or Shakespeare in Hollywood.
Lend Me a Tenor. Boy, I remember the commercials on that. Lend Me a Tenor, something. Yeah,
exactly.
Some of that's stuck in your head.
So it actually has a bit of a New Hampshire connection.
Right.
But it's a mystery, murder. It's a murder mystery whodunit type of thing. And it's well, that's one of the things what Nashua Theater likes to do. Try to do shows that are in a popular vein.
Right.
Stuff that people will love to see, but also good theater.
Right. And you're one of the actors as well?
I occasionally act. I mostly direct. I'm not directing this show, though.
Oh, my gosh. That's got to be hard to be a director. With everything that's going on, I've done a little theater. Are you one of the actors, Ken?
Yes, I am.
Yes, he's actually in the show.
All right, so are you the main character?
No, I play a supporting role to Larry Lichtide's William Gillette, who this whole thing takes place in a castle, and there's a.
Don't tell me there's a knife or something sharp involved.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Guns, lots of gunfire, lots of, as the ad says, a seance, a murder, a surprise ending. So it's a fun show.
Well, it's that time of year, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know LaBelle's supporting the front door. We just recently had them on the front door. They do some ministries around town, helping some young ladies that might need some help in their lives, and they're putting on some type of a whodunit type of thing, the LaBelle Winery. So obviously we have this is a whodunit type of murder mystery?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's it's very sort of neat. And it does have a surprise ending, and it's just a sort of fun piece. It has certainly serious moments, but it also has its sort of fun moments. A lot of relief humor, but a lot of stress too.
Right.
Well, tell me about the music first. Is there music involved?
Well, if we do it, it's just incidental music. We don't do musicals.
Okay.
So we just use. I guess what we're going to try to do is incorporate some music in between scenes. Kind of a mystery type of feel to it, because we do have scene changes. We've got about 3 scenes in the first act, 2 scenes in the second act.
Right.
So and each one requires a bit of a scene change, like moving furniture and whatnot. So in order to keep the audience intrigued, we add a little music.
Yeah,
Or
usually
thunder, lightning.
a lot of the theaters that I've seen, they have some kind of, somebody in the pit doing some type of music.
Yeah, well, it's basically recorded.
Recorded.
Recorded music.
Interesting. All right.
Something out of a CD, pretty
Yes,
much.
it's not a musical.
Yeah.
But it's directed by Robert Runk, and he's been doing a fabulous job with everybody. It's a cast of 3 men and 4 women.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's it.
And technically 8 characters.
8 characters.
With 3 men and 4 women. So
That's interesting.
come and see how that works.
Actually, I think there's a 9th character too, but we won't talk about that one. It's a surprise.
Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun.
exactly. But the interesting thing about this show is what Ken Ludwig usually does with his plays. He incorporates real people, actual people in the past. This takes place in the 1920s, 22 to be exact, and it takes place. And William Gillette was an actor in the early 20th century who was known to playing Sherlock Holmes on stage.
Okay.
So this is exactly what it's like. It's a Sherlock Holmes type mystery, but not with the actual Sherlock Holmes.
Sure.
It's just the actor playing the Sherlock Holmes. So we got an actor playing an actor who plays Sherlock Holmes.
Is the connection to New Hampshire? Does the story reside in New Hampshire, or is it
No, actually, the castle he lived in was in Connecticut.
in Connecticut?
So
Okay.
close enough.
Sure, I New England.
But the New Hampshire connection is really, it's one of the first places that this play has been done. And I get different title. But it is I saw it back in 1983, and I was very intrigued with it. I was quite interested to see how he rewrote it, because this is about the 3rd rewrite he did on it. And it hasn't changed that much. And it is, well, I do remember it. And again, it's got a lot of intrigue. We don't who murdered who and whatnot. And the great thing about it is, again, it's got the twist in the end.
Sure.
And sometimes like a twist in a knife.
And what is the time period that this is set in?
1922.
1922. And when was this written?
Actually, early 80s, about 81, 83. Or like I said, it was done in 1983 in Milford, so
Okay.
it wasn't that old when it was first premiered.
Now, as a director, do you set up the design of the stage, or?
Yes, we try to get set designers, people incorporate. Actually, we are still looking for a number of people interested in doing theater. So this is one of the reasons why we're here, is to maybe attract people to join us, to work. Maybe people who are interested in building sets or designing sets or working
As
lights.
volunteers?
And volunteers. So yeah, we pay pittance. In fact, if we pay anything at all.
It's for the love of the theater.
Exactly. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah. I think one of the downsides to doing theater is the fact that it's over when it's over.
Ah, yeah.
Tell me about it.
It's
The postpartum depression you get when you do the last performance, and immediately the screw guns come out and the whole thing comes apart.
yeah,
comes
you're cleaning
down.
up and hey, go home, right?
Right.
It's all over. It's there's a weird feeling because you build this camaraderie with all your the colleagues that you're working with. Everybody's joining together. It's work. It's rush. You're sweating. Quick! I forgot. No, hurry! Do! And you got this pandemonium that's happening in back, but on stage everything's just kind of running smooth. People don't realize what's going on, and then when the show's over,
It's over.
It is over.
It's done.
And hopefully we get a chance to work with the same people again.
but you build bonds. You build some really neat bonds,
Sure.
right?
And then you come back together at other times to do other performances, and here they come back together. It's like a family homecoming, and everybody gets together and you do another play.
Right.
So in that sort of line of thinking, Nashua Theater Guild, their season, which runs through the spring of next year, we are putting on Inherit the Wind in the last weekend of April. And it calls for a lot of actors, a lot of people to help us with it. We're looking for volunteers and people to come in and audition.
Is there an age limit when it comes to something like that?
Depends on the play.
Yeah.
Depends on the play.
Particularly for this one.
Yeah, for this
Inherit the
one.
Wind.
For this one, I think the youngest character in the play we're doing now is in her 20s.
Okay.
But in terms of coming to see the play,
Right.
it may be there's a lot of gunfire and a lot of suggested violence. So you probably wouldn't want anybody under 8 years old or 9
Sure.
years old, but
Right.
put around there to come see the play.
Right.
In some of the plays, you wouldn't want somebody over under 14 maybe to come and see them, depending. We'll indicate if it's an adult show that we are looking to have an older audience for.
What is Inherit the Wind about?
Inherit the Wind is a, if I can, it's a,
Okay, go ahead.
it's a takeoff on the Scopes monkey trial, which took place back in the early 20th century when John Scopes taught evolution in Tennessee and was brought up on charges.
Okay.
And what happened there was it became like the media event of the day, really the trial of the century.
I actually think I saw the movie on that.
That's right. And Inherit the Wind is
Right.
a takeoff, which is a fictionalized account.
Okay.
So the names have all been all changed so that they can play with the facts. But the actual circumstance was the defense called in Clarence Darrow, who came in and was a defense lawyer, and the chief witness for the prosecution was William Jennings Bryan. And this was really the event at which Clarence Darrow so humiliated and humbled William Jennings Bryan
Right.
that he died shortly after that. It just took all of the wind out of his sails. Of course, William Jennings Bryan ran 3 times for president of the United States and was a
remember that now.
notorious Bible thumper, and
Yeah.
he came in to make the whole thing, but Darrow really sort of run up. So this is a fictionalized account of that. The names have all been changed. And the cast list, if you do every member that's called for in the cast, is 30.
Yeah.
And we're trying to whittle it down to around 20.
Is that a lot going to consist of the jury or the
Townspeople.
Townspeople.
Right.
A lot of people. So that's why we need a lot of people, all ages. So we'll be looking for some young people, children,
Right.
to play towns kids and stuff like that. And it calls for a large cast, large production. We need help, and so we're
Sure.
looking for people to come out and support us in this. And
Oh, theater is such a
And
really neat.
We're also looking for people that be willing to do work costumes,
yes,
want to learn lighting, sound, set building, set design.
Makeup.
We don't use makeup too often
Really?
nowadays.
no, not unless you're trying to young somebody up or age them up.
Right.
Right.
Young somebody down or age them up, and which I've had to do on a number of occasions.
Right.
But both ways. So.
I know I've done a couple, and they've had to age me up a little bit because I played Mr. Chase in 1776.
Oh,
And
okay.
they actually gave us food on stage, and I had to eat while I was on. But it was great. It was great. It was a huge cast, but wow, when it was over, boy.
It does. I mean, it's, if you're not doing anything right off the bat, it does feel, a bit empty. You say, oh, wow, no.
You guys
Oh,
say
great, now
goodbye
I
to
got free
everybody.
time.
Yeah. and that bringing up the topic of when you say time, it really is a commitment. When people are getting involved with theater, it's a commitment to, you got to learn your lines, you got to be there to work the sets, you got to practice, it's a timing thing. And everybody pretty much gets along pretty well, generally.
We tend to rehearse, I think we rehearsed, 7 weeks for this one, or
7 weeks.
7
Wow.
weeks, three times a week.
Yep.
Then we move in. We cannot build a set on the stage. The first time we see the stage is on production with the Sunday before we open. Saturday and Sunday, and then we build the stage the set right there.
Wow.
They start rehearsing, work the lights, and knock on wood, which is nothing around here. We have it ready to go by Thursday.
And Kevin's fabulous at this. He goes in, it's amazing to watch him walk in and say, okay, everybody, this, here, there. The walls go up, the staircases go in and everything like that. He's got the vision in his head, which I just don't have. He's
And then somebody's got to actually make that vision for you, right?
Exactly.
oh, right, yeah.
People,
Screw guns, the saws, everything.
screw guns,
Yeah.
saws, paint.
Turn something around, it becomes the city. Turn it back around, it's a bakery. Or
Thankfully, we don't have to do that. We like to keep it down 1 unit set.
Right. Now, as far as how big is the set that you generally perform
The
on?
stage
is it
itself,
a number of different places? Or?
Now, you've been to the Janice B Street Theater before.
Yeah, it's a relatively,
It's relatively small. So it's about, so I'd say about 35 by 35 feet square. Somewhere in that
You fit about 100, 200 people in there
I
for your
think
audience?
it fit up to about 230, maybe 240, depending how how well you do it, and also how we build a set. Because sometimes we have built sets where we basically block the seats on the side, so really the only place you could see the show is from the front.
Oh,
I
interesting.
In this set design, I've opened it up I design the set, so I open it up. So basically, if we have a good crowd, people can sit in the sides and actually see every single action in the play.
Wow. How'd you get involved with this?
Good. Believe it or not, ready for this one? American Stage Festival. The first play I saw at the American Stage Festival was this one.
It's addicting, and you've been addicted ever since.
And I was always interested in doing theater, and then I got the first glimpse of American Stage Festival, saw the shows, 4 out of the 5 shows they presented that summer, twice a week. I mean, not twice a week, but twice each one. And then, oddly enough, I think it was August or September, I happened to go in the library, National Library, saw the audition notice for Harvey, went to the auditions, and didn't get a role, but became stage manager, which I'm doing for this show. And since then, it's pretty much I've been doing almost anything. I've been president, vice president, board member, director, actor.
Tell me about the board. Tell me about how it's all structured.
The board is made up of officers, president, vice president, secretary, recording secretary, correspondence secretary, and treasurer, and a number of at-large members. And again, we can fill up as many board members as possible.
You always need volunteers.
Always need volunteers,
Right.
and I'm willing to do the work.
Yeah.
And that's key.
Yeah. Are you on the board as well?
Yes,
Kevin?
I'm the treasurer.
You're the treasurer. Okay. So you have a stated interest in this thing working well, right? That's,
Always, yeah.
That's interesting.
But also, we also like to get involved in the community. Like I said before, we do Shakespeare in the Park, and that's really part of summer fun, so we don't get money for that. We just do the show.
Do you go to schools and do a brief little play or a skit?
We have not done so lately, but it's something we might be interested in doing again. But we've been thinking about doing possibilities of going. There's an elderly.
The All Generations Adult Care over on Amherst Street has been helping us out profoundly by giving us some really badly needed rehearsal space because we can't move into the theater until a week of the performance, so we need a place to rehearse.
Oh, yeah.
And they've helped us, and so we're going to be putting together some short skits for them to go over and perform for the people that attend there. We have a couple already sort of ready-made from a play called The Good Doctor by Neil Simon, and we plan to go in. Some really great performers involved with that. Neil Blakelock, who's something of a Southern New Hampshire icon and comes to theater. He does this one vignette from that play called The Drowned Man, which is just it's side-splitting, fall out of your seat funny, and it's we're looking to do things like that. We're going to be doing that for them between now and Inherit the Wind, and
Very interesting. Oh, that's. As far as the volunteers, are you short a lot? Do you need how many? What are you looking at for numbers?
It runs different year to year.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're short. Sometimes we have an abundance. So it depends on how the thing's going.
College students, they reach out to
We
them?
would love to have them, if they're interested, come and join us, work with us. Back when I started with National Theatre Guild, there was only really 2 theater companies in Nashua. Us and the actor singers. Since then, there's been theater companies have been popping up, and it just kind of stretches the.
It thins out the.
Thins out the core. Yeah.
So then you become a sect, if you will, in the community. Well, that's interesting. How many different plays have you worked on? I mean, how many is in your repertoire?
We don't have a repertoire as such, but the Nashua Theatre Guild probably puts on 3 or 4 a year,
And
it goes back
61,
So you're not
62.
rehashing the old ones. You're doing new ones all the time, or
We occasionally do repeats, but
what's the best one you've done?
that's what. Oh, good Lord. Best one I've done. My God, there's so many. Even though it wasn't with National Theatre Guild, The Good Doctor, I directed that one, and that one is a special part of my heart. I've done 12 Angry Men, which I enjoy doing.
12 Angry Men. Is that the one where they're in
The jury.
That was a great, again, a great movie.
The Henry Fonda,
Yeah.
all those actors that were.
You're just in one
Also
room,
nice.
and all it is just focusing on one person, their expression, and that. What a great! You don't see that anymore. You have to have all this frill. That was a great movie.
Yeah, usually the ones I usually like best is the ones I've directed.
Yeah.
And that's where I get to use my vision.
Henry IV, have you ever done one?
No, we haven't done Henry IV yet.
I love that.
Oh, wait, did we do Henry IV? Oh, Henry IV and Henry V. I think we did Henry IV.
I think it was the Henry IV as well.
It was Henry IV. Henry IV we did do. We did both parts combined. And again, that was out there.
Great education for kids. You know, stuff like that. It's a great education, and it's a great way to introduce a different thought.
Yeah.
Nowadays we have some of the kids. They're just doing this. The
understand.
adults are doing that too, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
You know what's kind of funny? I used to play in a band, and we'd be out there singing, and we'd see a bunch of people sitting around the table doing this. Nobody's talking. And we're singing. Hey, wait a minute. We're singing. Get off that thing, you know?
Exactly. They can't put them down.
You can't put them down. This theater is a way to just get out of get your mind off that computer.
Right.
You know, get out and see what people can actually do for real, and convince you that they're acting and telling a story, like around the campfire or something. You know, that's
I always look at community theater and the production of plays as being our version. In other words, you have these great plays, and everybody wants to tell this story, and here's our version of it. You know, it may not be the greatest thing that's ever been seen or the worst thing you've ever seen, but here's our version of that particular play.
Yeah.
And you go out, you put it on, and you give people a chance to see that particular art manifested in front of them. And that's the way I sort of look at it. Kevin was talking about the explosion of theater in New Hampshire, and especially southern New Hampshire, but you have so much all over at this point. I have hooked up, because Facebook is a wonderful thing in the sense that you hook up with people you haven't seen forever. And I hooked up probably 2 or 3 years ago with my old drama teacher from Lansing, Michigan.
Wow.
And I won't tell you how many decades this goes back, but she's in Hawaii. But I told her that I was now in southern New Hampshire and that I was involved in theater and whatnot. She goes, "Oh my goodness, southern New Hampshire." She said, "New Hampshire, what a hotbed of theater." So
Is that right?
Right. So this is one of the we're one of the states that consistently sends 2 or 3 plays to the regional community theater association competition that happens every 2 years. Sometimes Maine doesn't send any. Sometimes Connecticut doesn't send any. Rhode Island doesn't. But New Hampshire always sends plays. Massachusetts. So New Hampshire and Massachusetts, especially Eastern Mass,
Isn't that interesting?
are hotbeds of theater in a real sense. And so there's a lot of competition for the community theater dollar, but there's also, Kevin's talking about the play that he did in another performance, a different, not for Nashua Theater Guild. All of our groups are sort of incestuously connected. You know?
Yeah.
We all, you know, that we have people.
I need
Milford
a
area
fix, man.
players.
Like, hey, there's something happening in Nashua.
Milford
right?
area players, they help us out, we
Yeah.
help them, and then you have Concord Community and the Majestic up in Manchester Community, so, and everybody's sort of all helping each other out constantly because we all had that same love and appreciation and wanting to bring that to the public.
Yeah, it's funny. George Clooney just got married, but he's done a lot of theater in the past, and Robin Williams. It's funny how these big shots always seem to end up going back on stage because they got that bug. You know, they can do the Hollywood movies, but they like going back to the theater at times.
It's so different. I mean, I've done a little bit of film too, and the instant gratification you get from stage work. When you're right up on stage, you can hear the audience laugh and gasp and like that. You don't get any of that with film until you finally get the thing in the can, it gets produced, and maybe you get to see the audience react, but it's completely different. And you also have to know what you're doing for an hour and a half straight, whereas you get constant do-overs when you're doing films.
Right. And I just think that's very interesting. Have you had any stars ever try to approach you, or, no? Nothing like that.
Well, community theater, because there's limitations. If we say stars, they're union, and really can't be involved in a community theater production as actors because
that's too bad.
Yeah,
they're restricted in their contracts.
Yes.
They can't do it. Right.
Well, it's just, but you have seen though where they've gone on stage and they've had to get back into the find their roots where they started off and.
Right.
I don't know why I thought of George Clooney, but he was doing that in high school, apparently, theater.
Sure.
Oh yeah, a lot of people. In fact, I come to think of it, one of the shows I directed was Bad Seed. That was the girl who was in it was Alexandra Solsha. And she's done Peacock Players and Actor Singers, and she has now since been on Broadway and in television. So, you know, it's occasionally we have a couple people who have worked on theater.
It's good training
locally.
too. If you want that type of a shot at doing the pictures too,
Right.
best place to learn is theater, right? You got to learn lines. You got to learn how to act a little bit.
Exactly.
And there's that spirit that of just feeding off the people. You can, like you said, the gas. You can tell. You just tell that they're into it or they're not.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
We had a play that we did, Kevin and my wife actually directed. We did for the community, for the festival, New Hampshire Community Theater Association Festival a couple of years ago, and there was one line that I threw in that
I've
play
done that before.
that I knew we had them, that they were completely engaged, because I would hear the gasps from the audience. It was like four words. I said those 4 words, and it was, no. And it was like they were so, you knew you had it, you knew they were invested. So that's the feedback you don't get in film.
Yeah, that's exactly, yeah. So the play starts when?
October 9th. We're performing October 9th, 10th, 11th at 8 o'clock, and October 12th, that's a Sunday matinee at 2 o'clock. So
Where?
it's the Janus B. Street Theater, 14 Court Street, right next to the
Nashua.
library in Nashua.
In Nashua, okay. How can people reach you?
Well, they could go to Facebook. We have a page on Facebook.
What is the name of it?
National Theater Guild. Yeah, pretty much it.
You know, it's a dumb question, but you know, people will want to know.
Right. And it's a Theater Guild. It's theater with an R-E at the end. It's not the normal spelling. R-E, because that's the kind of the British way of spelling it. So go a little different there. And also, if they wish to get tickets, they can go to brownpapertickets.com and buy tickets through there, or just call my phone number at 603-880-0243.
Same contacts if they want to audition or find out how to become a volunteer.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
All right, great.
We have a little ad in the coffee news which circulates around this
Yes.
area, which has a National Theater Guild wants you, and has all the contact information in that too, plus an ad for our postmortem play. So.
Yeah, well, maybe you can have your own show here at the TV station.
Maybe.
Keep people posted. I know Dick wants that.
We have enough hams to do it.
Yeah, that's what you got to be as a ham. Anyway, well, thank you very much for
Thank
coming
you.
on the show. We wish you to break a number of legs, I guess I should say. Right?
Thank you
Break
very
a leg.
much.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
And thank you again. So thanks for watching Gate City Chronicles. By all means, check out the theater. And if you want to get into something you don't know what, try theater. It's a blast. It really is a blast, and you can have a good time, make a lot of new friends. Thank you for watching Gate City Chronicles, and we want to thank our sponsor, Aardvark, the Dean of Clean. You can reach them at 603-521-7657. If you need your carpets clean, call Aardvarks.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.